The call came late in the evening, her voice cold, sharp, like a blade against my chest. "Don't come to the wedding," she said. No hesitation. No crack of guilt. Just flat rejection. I froze, clutching the phone in disbelief. My own daughter. The same little girl whose tiny hand once clung to mine when she was afraid of the dark. The same daughter whose tears I wiped away when the world felt too big, and now she had grown into a woman who wanted me erased from her most important day. I tried to breathe, but her words pressed like stones on my chest. "Why?" I whispered, my voice trembling. There was a pause, long and deliberate. "You'll ruin it," she replied finally. "It's better if you just don't come." Ruin it. Me. I had sacrificed everything for her, late nights, endless shifts, meals skipped so she could eat. I gave her education, comfort, and love without measure. And now, on the day when I thought I would proudly watch her take the next step in life, she wanted me to stay away like an unwanted stain. I sat in silence after the call ended, the echo of her words clawing at my soul. Not allowed to meet the man she was marrying. Not allowed to bless her. Not allowed to stand by her side. But something inside me shifted. A quiet, steady flame of resolve began to burn. She thought she could push me out, keep me from knowing the truth, hide me from her new world. But she had forgotten one thing. I wasn't weak. And I wasn't done. If my daughter wouldn't let me meet her groom, then I would find another way. Secretly. Quietly. Watching from the shadows if I must. Because no matter how much she tried to erase me, I was still her mother. And I would discover the truth she was so desperate to keep from me. The days leading up to the wedding felt like walking through fog. My heart was heavy, yet my mind sharp, calculating. I couldn't understand why she wanted to keep me away. Embarrassment. Shame. Or was there something darker that she didn't want me to see? I decided to start quietly. I called an old friend of mine who worked at the very hotel where the wedding was set to take place. Her voice, warm with recognition, was the only comfort I had in weeks. "Please," I begged softly, "just tell me, who is this man she's marrying?" Her silence told me enough. Then she sighed. "All I can say is, you deserve to know the truth. Be careful." The pit in my stomach grew deeper. That night, I sat by my window, staring out at the city lights, memories rushing back like a flood. My daughter's first school play, the way she had once clutched a cheap stuffed toy, declaring it was her protector. I had always been her shield. But now she had built walls against me. So I made a choice. If she refused to open the door, I would slip through the cracks. The next morning, I bought a simple black dress. Something quiet, something that wouldn't draw attention. I tucked my hair neatly, applied only the faintest touch of powder. No one would notice me in the crowd. I arrived at the hotel hours before the ceremony, blending in with the bustle of caterers, decorators, and guests arriving early. My eyes searched constantly, hunting for the man who had stolen my daughter's loyalty so completely that she had shut me out. And then, I saw him. Tall, polished, with a smile that looked charming to everyone else. But to me, it was hollow. His eyes flickered too quickly, his handshake lingered too long with others. There was something in his demeanor, something sly, something practiced. My chest tightened. This was the man she chose over me. But the worst was yet to come. Because as I watched from the corner of the hall, I noticed another woman. She wasn't dressed like a guest. No, her dress was casual, her gaze sharp, her movements far too familiar with him. He leaned in close, whispering to her, his hand brushing hers in a way that no groom should, especially not hours before pledging himself to my daughter. My heart pounded. 1,000 questions roared in my mind. Who was she? Why was he touching her like that? And most importantly, did my daughter know? I clenched my fists, torn between storming forward and dragging him into the light, or waiting, watching, gathering the truth piece by piece. And in that moment, I realized something chilling. Maybe my daughter didn't keep me away out of shame of me, but out of fear of what I might see. I sat at the very edge of the grand hall, hidden behind a pillar as the music began to play. Guests whispered with excitement, phones lifted to capture every second of the ceremony. But all I could focus on was him, the so-called groom, who smiled too widely, his charm masking the deceit I had just witnessed. My chest ached as I looked at my daughter, radiant in her white dress, her smile trembling as though it was stitched together with fragile threads. She looked beautiful, yes, but behind her eyes, I saw something else. Fear, doubt, maybe even guilt. The officiant began the vows. His voice echoed through the hall. "Do you take this man?" I couldn't hear the rest. My ears rang. My breath quickened. The memory of that other woman's hand in his only hours earlier burned in my mind like fire. I gripped the folder I had hidden inside my small clutch bag, evidence I had gathered in haste after bribing one of the hotel staff. Photos, messages, proof of his double life. Proof that my daughter was walking into a trap. And yet, my hands trembled. Should I expose him here, in front of everyone? Would she hate me forever for ruining her wedding day? Or would she one day thank me for saving her from a lifetime of humiliation? The officiant repeated the words louder now, bringing me back to the moment. "Do you, Amelia?" Her lips parted. She glanced at him, then at the crowd, searching, almost as if she was looking for me, even though she didn't know I was there. Tears pricked my eyes. My little girl, my blooded, my daughter. And then, just before she could speak, I rose from my seat. My voice, low but steady, broke the silence like glass shattering. "Wait." Dozens of heads turned. The room froze. My daughter's eyes widened in shock, recognition, and something else, relief. The groom's smile cracked, slipping for the very first time. He knew. He knew what I held in my hand. And as I stepped into the light, holding the folder close to my chest, I realized this wasn't just about saving her from him. This was about reclaiming the bond she thought she could sever. Because I wasn't here to destroy her wedding. I was here to save her life. The hall went silent. You could hear the chandeliers hum above as everyone's eyes turned toward me. My daughter's face turned pale, her lips quivering, caught between shock and confusion. The groom's jaw tightened. He tried to laugh it off, his smooth voice echoing, "This is ridiculous. Who even is she?" But he knew. Oh, he knew. And that fear flickering in his eyes betrayed him. I walked closer, my heels tapping against the marble floor like a drumbeat of judgment. Slowly, I opened the folder. The photos slid out like daggers. Him holding another woman, the intimacy undeniable. The whispers in the hall began instantly, spreading like wildfire. Gasps, murmurs, fingers pointing. "This is a lie," he barked, his face red now. "She's making this up to ruin us?" I didn't flinch. My voice was calm, but sharp enough to cut through his performance. "These were taken 3 days ago. At the Grandview Hotel. Would you like me to show everyone the messages too? Or should I just hand these over to Amelia's future in-laws so they know exactly the kind of man she's marrying?" The officiant looked mortified, frozen mid-sentence. The guests leaned forward, hungry for the drama unraveling before their eyes. My daughter stood there, shaking, her bouquet trembling in her grip. Tears filled her eyes as she stared at the photos I held up for her. She didn't need to touch them. She knew. Deep down, she knew. "You," her voice cracked, directed at him. "You told me you loved me. You swore there was no one else." He stammered, reaching for her hand. But she jerked it away as though his touch burned her. Her sob broke something inside me. That sound, the sound of a heart breaking, it ripped through me. But it also reminded me why I was here, why I had risked everything to come. "I wanted to believe you," she whispered, her voice breaking. "But she saved me." She turned toward me. Our eyes met. For the first time in years, there was no hatred in her gaze, only anguish and a fragile kind of trust. And in that moment I knew. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning. Chaos erupted in the hall. Guests whispered louder now, their judgment cutting sharper than any blade. The groom's mask finally crumbled. Sweat pooled on his forehead as he tried desperately to defend himself. "This is nothing but lies," he shouted, slamming his hand on the table. "She's trying to turn you against me." But the damage was already done. The photos didn't lie. His nervous eyes didn't lie. The silence of his supposed friends in the crowd didn't lie. My daughter stood tall, her tears still glistening but her voice stronger now. Enough. I won't marry a liar. I won't marry a man who thinks I'm blind, who thinks he can build a life on betrayal. Gasps echoed again. The officiant stepped back, awkwardly folding his book shut. The guests began murmuring, some even nodding in agreement, others shaking their heads at the scandal. The groom tried to reach her one last time, his hand trembling. Amelia, please. She pulled away. Don't. You don't deserve me. You don't deserve anyone. The words cut deeper than the evidence ever could. His face drained of color. He knew it was over. Truly over. My daughter turned toward me then. For a long, heavy moment, the world seemed to stop. Just her and me, standing in the ruins of what should have been her happiest day. I should have listened to you. She whispered, her voice fragile, but filled with regret. I pushed you away when all you wanted was to protect me. My throat tightened. For years, I had carried the weight of her distance, the sting of her words. But in that moment, as she fell into my arms, trembling and broken, I felt something return that I thought was gone forever. Her trust. The hall blurred with whispers and shocked stares, but I didn't care. I held her tightly, stroking her hair as I had when she was a little girl. He can take his lies. I murmured softly, but no one will ever take you from me again. And as we stood there, surrounded by the wreckage of betrayal, I knew one truth above all. Sometimes love isn't about letting go. Sometimes, it's about standing firm. Even when the whole world thinks you shouldn't. Because in the end, I hadn't destroyed her wedding. I had saved her life.